Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Time for the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. This week, you're stuck with me. Jana got swept away. She's going to say, oh, I had all this stuff to do because it's graduation week. And her youngest is graduating. Plus, she works at a school. So they got all that graduation stuff. Plus, something about a wedding anniversary or something. I don't know. I think she just wanted to get out of doing this particular episode. And if you don't know why, we'll talk about that in a little bit. A couple things just... No, Pete Rose has not been inducted into the Hall of Fame yet, although a lot of people keep thinking that it was just a done deal, so people are freaking out about that. And it's not yet. He's still got to go through. The earliest he could get in is like 27, and he's still got to be put on the ballot, and there's a lot of stuff that's got to happen before then. Who's to say that Shoeless Joe won't get in before he does? We'll see. Anyway, kind of a short week in the sense that the wheel of IL is down for maintenance and dizziness. Some of those guys have been on there so long they're in a permanent state of dizziness. So we've taken it down for some maintenance and to give those guys a break from all the spinning. We're going to talk about the top 25. As we get ever closer to we got conference playoffs already started, and the early days of the regionals and super regionals on our way to Omaha for the College World Series. Going to talk Angels, who have they're kind of traveling along the I-5, so we'll talk about that, and the Dodgers, and of course part of that trip was the Dodgers and the Angels playing each other. So we're going to talk about the Dodgers and them playing the games that they played versus the Athletics, and then we'll talk about the Angels and San Diego, and then we'll talk about the Freeway Series, the Dodgers and the Angels. Remember, you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, Instagram and Facebook, Sibling Rivalry BB with the A, and, of course, at our website, siblingrivalrybb.com.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
I don't really remember who we started off with last week, so let's talk about the A's and what happened with them and the Dodgers. It's going to be... I don't know what was going on there. The Dodgers had played the D-backs, dealt with them, come into play, come back home to play the A's, who haven't been playing badly. But even then, they've been playing. The Dodgers had been playing pretty well, still like number one in the MLB power rankings. But it didn't look like it. This looked like the old days of the A's being the superpower and the Dodgers just kind of getting rolled over. First game out, they get thumped 11-1. Dodgers able to muster up 8 hits, but it took a while for them to get those 8 hits. The A's, everybody got a hit except for Tyler Soderstrom, who's actually normally one of the bigger bats. He struck out 4 times, got the golden sombrero there, and they just couldn't get anything going. And the Dodgers get thumped. No real offense except for Will Smith. He went 3 for 4. Michael Conforto, who everybody's hollering about, saying, isn't it time for him to go down? He's had like 6 RBIs in like 30 some odd games he's played, and yet Tommy Edmonds got 26 in a little bit more. Almost similar times of number of games. Anyway, Landon Knack goes 4 2/3, gives up 7 hits and 5 runs, strikes out 8, but gave up 2 home runs. And then, Firereisen. Yeah, it's something about Firereisen that he gets beat up every single time. Gives up 3 runs on 6 hits when he comes in, and then Miguel Rojas comes in to finish out the game and gives up a couple runs as well. So not a good game. Go to game 2 of the series, and this time things kind of turn around and look more like they're supposed to. The Dodgers, and from the A's standpoint as well, Tyler Soderstrom with a home run, which is his normal thing, gets 2 hits. Normally, he's the one that's hitting. Him and maybe Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker, but this time Soderstrom gets in there and goes yard off of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yoshi comes in, throws 6 innings, gives up 3 runs on 4 hits, strikeouts 6. Just gave up that 1 home run, so not a bad outing. ERA up to 2.12. It had been at one point sub 1. So they end up walking away with a 9-3 victory. The Dodgers, it was Shohei with a home run going 2 for 4. Max Muncy with an odd home run, his second, and that was his first home run at home. His previous home run had been on the road. He got 3 RBIs out of that, so he helped really drive that. Andy Pages went 3 for 4. So, and Ha-Seong Kim got his first major league home run. So looking good out there, and they turned it all around, made themselves put themselves right in the back in the driver's seat as they should have. Finale of this matchup was a Thursday getaway game. They played regular time, but it was a blowout. It just Dodgers made up for that first game, winning 19-2. Justin Robleski gets that. It was a Matt Sauer. I think it was more of a supposed to be a bullpen game, but Matt Sauer's able to do 4 innings. Only gives up 2 runs. Those are the 2, with one of those being a home run. That home run was to Max Schumann, and solo home run there. And like I said, they were able to pick up yet 1 more run. The Dodgers, hits-wise, everybody, all the starters had a hit. Only Chris Taylor and Kike were hitless when they came in, played their couple of innings, and they were hitless. But home runs, 2 home runs from Shohei, a home run from Max, a home run from Pages, home run from James Outman. And, of course, everybody's wondering what's going to happen with James Outman. Well, just when you think he's ready to go down, he hits a home run, went 2 for 4. Quite a few multi-hit games. Like I said, Shohei had 2 home runs for his multi and 6 RBIs. Max had 4 RBIs. Pages had 3. Ha-Seong Kim 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. And kind of interesting little tidbit. Blowouts, a lot of times these players will, position players will come in, like we talked about early on. Miguel Rojas, who's pitched a couple times. Kike pitched one time that I remember here this season. Well, in this one, backup catcher for the A's, Johnny Pereda, got to pitch in the game. He pitched 1 full inning, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs. He walked 1, struck out 1, and that 1 was Shohei Ohtani. And he said Shohei was the only batter he wanted to face, and he was just happy that Shohei didn't hit the ball back up the middle, because if he did, it's going to kill me, is what Paredes said. So kind of funny. And he's got his the ball that he struck him out with. They labeled it for him and put it in a nice little protective case. So a lot of these guys, that's what they want to do. They want to pitch to Shohei. And he was successful at it. More successful than the other guys, who gave up home runs. Jason Alexander gave up one. Actually, he gave up both of Shohei's home runs. So, anyway, so the Dodgers win the series, and they kick back and wait for the Angels to come to town. So let's talk about what happened with the Angels before we get to the Dodgers-Angels series, the Freeway Series. So the Angels are on like the I-5 tour, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit, but they started off in San Diego. And, that's tough because San Diego's a great team as well. They're, second or third best team in baseball, really, overall. Records-wise, that would be like Detroit, Philadelphia, the Yankees, the Dodgers, all up in the upper 20s or even 30 wins by now. But the first night at Petco, I almost said Qualcomm. I haven't been to Petco yet, so Qualcomm's the last Padres stadium game I ever went to. The Angels, played well. They scored 2, then the Padres went up, and you kind of think the way that the Padres are, kind of thought that maybe he was going to, the Angels were probably going to get blown out, and they exploded in Game 1 after scoring 3 runs, being down 5-3 going into the top of the ninth. They went off on possibly the best closer in all of baseball. Robert Suarez comes in, and he gets Matthew Lugo to strike out, and then Rengifo comes up, singles, walks Ohapi, walks Zach Neto. So you've got Rengifo at third. Joe Adell is at second. And then who's running for Logan Ohapi. Ohapi pinched hit for Tim Anderson. So Zach Neto gets on there. He walks. And then Nolan Chanuel walks. Rengifo scores. Bases are still loaded. Yoan Moncada with another walk. It's completely unlike Robert Suarez. So another walk. Walks in 2 runs. And then they take him out, bring in Alec Jacob, who's able to strike out Jorge Soler, but Taylor Ward takes him deep and grand slam. And that put the Angels up 9-5. And then Kinley, with the exception of that one bad inning a couple of games ago, he's been good. Gets Jake Cronenworth to strike out, gets Tyler Wade, who pinch hits, to strike out, and then Fernando Tatis to pop up into center field. And that would be the end of it, as the Angels take the first game convincingly. And if you ever wanted to have some sort of confidence, beating a team like the Dregs is, as they did in that game, great job. Game 2, Tuesday night game, things kind of turned back. Angels still look good. They were competitive in the game. They scored 1 to start. Dregs dropped 2 around the 5th. The Angels come back and score 3, so they're up 4-2. But final 2 innings, they just couldn't get them out. They end up scoring 4 runs between the 8th and the 9th, and walk it off over the Angels, and that would be 6-4. Nolan Shanuel, he had a 3-for-4 night. Zach Neto with a home run in there, as well as Matthew Lugo with the home run. Zach, that was his 6th home run on the season. Matthew Lugo with his 2nd. So the Angels, are able to stay competitive, but lose that one. Tatis Jr. with a home run, but not really huge. I mean, they got 6 runs, but they did it on 6 hits. And Jose Soriano went 7, only gave up 2 runs on 4 hits, struck out 5. It was Zephyr, who's been having some issues lately, that gave up 2 runs. Kenley Jansen gave up 2, and Jose Soriano gave up 2 as well. So that's where the 6 came from. Dylan Cease goes 6 2/3, strikes out 10 Angels. That didn't help the Angels at all. And has a Dylan Cease kind of outing. 5 hits, just gave up 2 runs. And we go to the rubber match. Can the Angels take this series from the Dregs, or will the Dregs be able to find their way back? And, it was nice while it lasted. The Dregs scored 3 in the bottom of the first. The Angels grab 1 in the top of the second and are shut out the rest of the game. Only 4 hits, and the Dregs grab 2 more in the bottom of the 8th to take this game 5-1. Pitching wise, Kyle Hendricks goes 6 innings, gives up 3 runs, 4 strikeouts, a home run, and 5 hits. Randy Vasquez for the Padres, decent night, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, strikes out 5. Xander Bogaerts hit the home run off of Kyle Hendricks, and Taylor Ward with his 10th of the season. But they lose the series to the Dregs, which, that was kind of expected. So, but they played them tough. That last game's the only one where they weren't right on top of things. So they did play them tough and got them ready to head up to 5 so that they could take on the Dodgers. So there's an expectation, just like with the A's, that the Dodgers, I think the expectation is the Dodgers are going to win every series. And especially against teams like the A's, the Marlins, the Rockies, the Angels, that they're going to, have their way with these teams. But alas, they did not. And this is where Jana's absence really comes into play. We'll talk about that here in just a couple of seconds. But Dustin May, Jack Kahanowitz starting up on the Friday game. This was like rivalry weekend, American League versus National League all throughout baseball. So you had, the LA teams, you had the San Francisco teams, the New York teams, Philly playing Pittsburgh. So there was a lot, the Astros and the Rangers. So all of that going on all over the place. The Padres were playing the Mariners. The Angels and the Dodgers come out, and Angels, they saw over 90 pitches in the first inning in the 3-game series. They just were able to get long at bats, and you had, first game out, you had, a lot of hits. You had 10 hits. Zach Neto, Taylor Ward, Luis Rengifo, Matthew Lugo, all with multi-hit games, and then you had Yoan Moncada with a home run, and they just were able to tear them up. They scored 2 in the first, 2 in the fourth, and 2 in the ninth, and were able to hold the Dodgers to just 2 runs. And those 2 runs, well, one of them was thanks to Shohei and a home run that he hit, and then the other run was scored by Will Smith, who had 2 hits. But they were held to just 7 hits. But the Dodgers were they couldn't get anything going. Kahanowitz goes 6 2/3, only gives up 1 run on 5 hits, strikes out 5. The other run given up by Zephyrjan, who had been tough at the beginning, and then who knows? He just fell apart. Dustin May goes 5, but gives up 4 runs on 6 hits. Does strike out 8. So it's kind of amazing that the Angels, as much as they're striking out, having a problem. And then Ryan Ludis gives up 3 hits and 2 runs. And like I said, Dodgers dropped that. So that's only 1. Who cares, right? What difference does that make? It's only 1. Next night out, barn burner of a game. Starters in this game. Well, we saw the return of Clayton Kershaw, coming back after a long time off, after some successful outings in AAA. It's Kershaw Day, and he gets his first start versus Tyler Anderson. Gives up 4. Goes for 4, gives up 5 hits, 5 runs, 2 strikeouts. One of those was a home run in those hits. And then, they just couldn't, Kasparius comes in, he gives up 2 runs. Kirby Yates with a blown save and takes the L, gives up 3 runs. And then Alex Vesia gives up a run to end the game. But it was pretty close overall, that they both scored 3 runs in the first, then the Angels with a run in the third, the fourth, and 1 in the ninth. But it was the 7th inning that pretty much did the Dodgers in. A 5-run 7th. So Zach Neto double with, and then Shanuel follows with another double that scores Zach Neto. Logan O'Hoppe with a home run to drive in both Nolan Shanuel and Jorge Soler. Soler had singled, and of course Shanuel was on with the double that he hit. Rengifo with a double. Joe Adell walks, and Joe Adell's not a great hitter, so when you walk him, you're doing him a favor. And then Kevin Newman, who I'm not even sure he ever sees the ball, with a single. And that scores Luis Rengifo. And they take 5 there, and with the exception of with a run driven in by Max Muncy, scoring Freddie Freeman and Andy Baez, or just Freddie Freeman, Andy Baez moving up. He's not been pitching very well. And so that called Kenley Jansen to come in and pitch, throw a 4-out save. Matthew Lugo did hit a home run to help pad that lead, and they end up with an 11-9 victory. So here's something that hadn't happened since like 2012 or something like that. That the Angels win the series in the Ravine. They hadn't won a series up at Dodger Stadium since then, and they're able to walk away with that second victory. And you're like, uh-oh, better get Mako, I guess. What is going on? What's happening with the Dodgers? They're having a hard time with the offense, and it ends up they had a good game on Saturday, but they just couldn't stop the Halos. And then here we go to Sunday, and we've got Yusei Kikuchi on the mound going against Tony Gonsolin. Now, we'll say that early on, something happened with Tony Gonsolin, lost a layer of skin or something. He had blood, so there was blood on his pants, but he ends up staying in. And ends up pitching 4 innings. But in that, he walks 5, so that's never going to help. Gives up 2 home runs and just strikes out 3 in 4 of those runs. And then Anthony Banda and Luis Garcia each give up a run. Banda gets the loss on that, and it looks like Kirby Yates had issues and he's down from the night before. Tony Gonsolin having issues and maybe out as well. So we'll see what happens once again with the pitching. They've got something like 17 pitchers on the list. So it is crazy. So we talked about the Dalton Rushing being coming up, and Cuz being DFA'd. Well, Tommy Edman came back off of the injured list, and the corresponding move to make space for him was the outright release of Chris Taylor, which makes a lot of people sad. He's been there for a long time, and since 2016, he's been part of some really huge moments. But over the last couple of years, he's just not been the same. And so they release him, bring Tommy Edman back, and the question is, what's next? Everybody's looking for Michael Conforto to be next. My question is why at this point? Just leave him be. Your biggest issue is pitching. He's not hitting well, so nobody's going to trade for him right away. So you got to really play that out. And I think Andrew Friedman probably will just roll along with it, but and get closer to July unless he really has to make a deal. But at this point, he doesn't want to make a deal that might cause them to be. He doesn't want to make a deal that will make them nothing in return, because right now they'd be the desperate ones, and they don't want to. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to trade off somebody that's hot, and that being maybe Michael Conforto. See if they're able to trade Cuz. Since he was designated for assignment, means if nobody's wanting to trade him or pick him up, then he can take an assignment to the minors. Which, I don't know. Somebody needs him. He's a good catcher. Somebody's going to need him. As far as Chris Taylor, they outright released him. They're going to pay, they're going to pay the rest of his salary and his option next year. But they wanted to make sure he had a clear space to go somewhere. Because if nobody picked him up, then he'd end up in the minors, and they didn't really want that for him. He's a major leaguer completely. All right, so Dodgers. They've got one more series at home versus Arizona before they hit the road to take on the Mets and the Guardians, and then they're back home to take on both New York teams, the Yanks and the Mets. And I'm sure Jana will be happy to come back and talk about those things. As far as the Angels go, they have, like in this last game, 3 home runs. Zach Neto, Taylor Ward, and Travis d'Arnaud, they don't really count on him to hit. He's there to spell Logan O'Hoppe and to be a mentor. And he's been doing that, it sounds like. And, he's a solid backstop, just like Cuz. But they have different expectations for him. And that's, we also need to look at what's going to happen here. A lot of people are wondering when Joe Adell's going to get DFA'd or they're not. Somebody might be willing to trade for him, but what can they get? Kyron Paris also has kind of fallen off and is down below Joe Adell batting average. So after that hot start, he is like completely cooled off, and just wondering, what's going to happen there. Yusei Kikuchi Goes 5 2/3, gives up just 3 hits and 1 run, strikes out 7. He just doesn't get a lot of support most of the time. This time, he does, but he doesn't get the W just because of the back and forth. The Angels score 4 right out of the gate, but by the 7th, it's tied 4-4. Angels have to score 1 each in the 8th and the 9th. The Angels will continue their I-5 tour. They'll go north to Sacramento to take on the Athletics, and then back home down I-5 South back to Angel Stadium, and they'll take on the Marlins and the Yankees, and that will be the end of their California month. They have the last 2 days of the month, the 30th and 31st. They will be heading to Cleveland. I'm going to go ahead and hold off on any players of the week. The Angels, honestly, I'm going to go with Kenley Jansen if I'm going to give the Angels one. He overcame that bad outing. He's been a leader of that team, and he went in there in Dodger Stadium, returning back to a place that he was for years, and pitched well. 4-out save on Saturday night, and he pitched also on Friday, and so awesome job by Kenley Jansen. So I'm going to give him that. I'm going to hold off on the Dodgers. Just give him some time to get everything back together again, and not to get in too bad with the Dodgers and Jana being swept away, just like the Dodgers were. All right, time to hop in the bullpen cart and zip around baseball. And as always, we're going to start up with the MLB Players of the Week. And from the National League, from the Cincinnati Reds, it's Will Benson, 26-year-old, hit .526, 5 home runs, 10 RBIs, a double, 3 walks, 5 runs scored, stolen base, and a 1368 slugging percentage along with a 591 on base percentage. So he was red hot. He led the majors in batting average, on base percentage, and slugging, and had homers and total bases, tied for the major league lead in RBI and extra base hits, was 6th and tied for 4th overall in hits. And from the American League, somebody that we're familiar with, and last year was the poster child for disappointment, being traded from the Dodgers to the White Sox, Miguel Vargas hit .417, going 10 for 24, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 2 doubles, 5 runs scored, and 1,000 slugging percentage, along with a 40-23 on base percentage. He ranked 2nd in the majors in slugging and total bases with 24, tied for 2nd in homers, ranked 3rd in OPS, 1423, tied for 4th in RBIs and hits, and ranked 6th in batting average. They kept showing pictures of him going from the Dodgers and then sitting dejectedly in the with his head down in the White Sox dugout last season. Vargas also tallied an RBI in each of his last 4 games to close the week, tying the longest streak of his career. He also drove home a run in 4 straight games from April 30th to May 3rd. In 2023 as a member of the Dodgers. His 3 homers and 5 RBIs in the Crosstown Classic against Cubs. The Cubs marked the most by a White Sox player in a 3-game series since Jake Berger did it in a series set with Baltimore back in 2023. A few others that had a good week. Pete Crow Armstrong, .458 average, 2 home runs. Merrill Kelly of the Arizona Diamondbacks went 2-0 with a .64 ERA. And Corbin Carroll, also of the Diamondbacks, 308 with 3 home runs. So quite a few great performances. Cody Bellinger from the Yankees, looking pretty good with a 458 batting average, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs to lead the Yankees. Riley Green, who we talked about last week, he was the player of the week. He had a great game versus the Halos. Has another great week, 385, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs. So a lot of those, a lot of great players. Oh, let's not forget Zach Neto, 333 with 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 3 doubles, 3 walks, 7 runs. Just to name a few, there's a bunch of others that are on that made that had great weeks. Just to give you a few to talk about there. A couple of teams had their City Connects come out. Boston's are green for the Green Monster, and we'll talk more about that with the Fashion Report with Jana back next week. We'll also talk more about the injured players. One guy that I do want to mention, Blake Snell from the Dodgers, moved from the 15-day disabled list to the 60. So who knows what's going on with him. And so it's going to be a while before we see him back on the mound. He still hadn't been throwing in that. We'll wait and see what happens. Tyler Glasnow is still on the 15. So we'll see if that matters. And it does look like Mike Trout may be coming back sometime in this week, potentially, or next week. He's been running and hitting, and he's got to get out and run the bases, but they're taking it real easy with him because they don't want to have a setback with him. He's ready to get out there, but he's also knows that it's important for him to take it easy. So playoffs for men's Division I college baseball coming up. And a lot of the playoffs for the conferences are in play right now. They've already started. Let's take a look at the top 25 and top 10. Not a lot of movement there. LSU remains at the top. Texas had dropped down. Now they're back in to they had dropped to 3. Now they're back up to number 2, followed by North Carolina, Oregon, and Arkansas. Arkansas jumping from 8 to 5. Florida State drops out of the number 2 spot down to 6. Oregon maintains their spot. Oregon State, maintains their spot at number 7. Auburn, Vanderbilt, and Georgia all round out the top 10. Coastal Carolina stays put. Southern Miss jumps up 7 spots from 19 to 12. UCLA up 1. Clemson up 1. Florida with an 8-spot jump from 23 to 15. Georgia Tech, not ranked last week, joins the top 25 at number 16, followed by Ole Miss, also unranked last week, in at 17. You got Dallas Baptist, Northeastern, who was up by 6. And then UC Irvine continues their fall from 12 to 20. Tennessee drops 4 to 21. NC State, big drop from 13 to 22. And then Alabama, they drop from 18 to 23. And then TCU and Kansas join the top 25, unranked last week. West Virginia, Troy, Louisville, and Duke all drop out of the top 25. And then, like I said, you've got the College World Series is June 13th through June 23rd in Omaha. Before that, we've got the regionals and the super regionals, and those will all start next week on the 30th. 29th or 30th. All right, let's take a quick look at the standings before we wrap things up today. The Yankees lead the AL East. Only team with a full-on winning record. The Red Sox are in second place, playing at 500. everybody else is falling apart, especially the Baltimore Orioles. They're beginning to look like the Orioles of old. 16 of 32. There's only one team below them when you look at the full amount of standings. And interesting, their run differentials, 85. They've given up more runs than they've scored. And even the White Sox, who are the team right behind them, have given up fewer runs. So their run differential is, I mean, it's still a tough one. They've scored 164 runs versus 221 against them. But yeah, the AL Central, which had always been kind of the slug between the three different AL divisions, they're tearing it up. You've got 4 teams all over 500, with the Guardians just being 3 games over. But you've got the Tigers leading in wins with 33, the Twins at 27, and the Twins had a 13-game winning streak. If not for Jackson Chourio making a home run saving catch, it might have been 14. The Royals also with a winning record. The White Sox, well, not too bad. 4 of 6 in the last games, and they're 15 and 35. So they're not the worst team in record-wise in baseball, and it doesn't hurt that you got Miguel Vargas having weeks like he had. Finally, the AL East. You've got the Mariners, the Astros, the Rangers, all with winning records, and then the Angels and the Athletics, both with the same amount of wins, but the A's have a couple more losses. We'll see how things shake out at the end of their series as to whether they swap back, or well, the Angels or the A's. Who will be sitting in the basement after that? NL East, the Phillies have also hit 30 wins. The Mets, who had been playing top ball, are at 29. Remember at the beginning of the season when the Braves couldn't win anything? Well, the Braves are playing 500 ball now, 24 and 24. So they're putting things back together again. Nationals and the Marlins both below 500 and rounding out the NL East. The Cubs picked up their 30th win as well, so they're 30 and 20 after 50 games. We're a quarter of the way through the season. The Cardinals, another team, we saw them early in the season versus the Angels. The Angels took that series, and the Cardinals weren't looking that good, but they've turned it back around. They're 4 games over 500. The Reds, the Brewers, and the Pirates all playing sub 500 ball. The Reds, I'm not sure what's going on there. They've got they're up and down. In fact, out of their last 10, they played. They've been 5-5. So, and finally, the Dodgers, or the NL West. The Dodgers lead the West by a game and a half over both the Padres and the Giants. The Dodgers have 30 wins. We'll see what's going to happen with them as they play Arizona, because Arizona is playing pretty good baseball as well. They've got 3 games over. And then, of course, the worst team in baseball. We talked about them before. Maybe relegation might be a good thing with the Colorado Rockies. They have not broken double digits in wins. They're 8-40, and right now they are on to break the all-time record, not the modern-day record like the White Sox did last year. They're on their way to break the all-time record, which was like 135 losses. The way that they're going, they have a winning percentage of 167, so they've won 16% of their games. And when you look at the Dodgers, they've won 61% of their games. Philly 62, 66 for the Tigers. So it's just crazy how bad they are and how poorly managed. Although after Bud Black's been was fired, they did win a couple of games. So and looked pretty convincing. So that's kind of just that quarter point. Let's keep watching, see what's happening. A lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with the Dodgers, because they've just been, they got swept by the Angels. You get that, and what's going on with their pitching? Can everybody come back at a certain time and they'll be fine? We don't know. And why do the Dodgers have that problem? And because of everything that they've done and the expectations, people are worried about him, and they're worried that, okay, Conforto's been terrible. We need to do something about him. Who else has been terrible? But look at this. Conforto's not been that great. Other players at the bottom have not hit well. Usually it's the top 3 or 4, and even Mookie's been coming back from that sickness, that illness he had at the beginning of the season. And we're just barely 2 months in. I know, how early is late? Well, at some point here in June, we'll be able to start figuring that out. And before the All-Star break, by the end of June, we should have a better idea of where they need. If they start dropping off, they start losing a lot of games. They're 30-19. It's not like they can't come back and that they're going to fall completely apart. They've got a great team. There's good competition out there, and that's what you want, and that'll make them stronger. Although I did hear today where there's a thought that there's no players on the Dodgers. They used it as there's no Kirk Gibson that's just not going to put up with the garbage, and he's going to go in there last season. Walker Buehler came back in, was pitching well, and the Dodgers just weren't doing anything, and he basically went in there and went off. And they need somebody that's going to keep them in line, because it's nice when you're all together and you're playing well, but there's got to be something to keep the fire. And, what do you guys have to prove? Prove you can repeat. Prove you are as good as what everybody wants to think you are, or says you're not, because you're just a paid-for team. And that'll do it for this, Reader's Digest condensed version of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Next week it'll all be back normal. Jana will be back, and we will go over everything. And if she's got anything to talk about the sweep, like I said, she's going to come up with some kind of excuse as to why she wasn't here. But we'll see what happens with that. In the meantime. Remember, you can find us on Twitter, Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, Facebook and Instagram, Sibling Rivalry BB with the A, and then our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Don't forget to stop in the Fanatics League. We got the hats from that maybe you saw and you liked from the Salute to Service. I never saw any Mother's Day hats this year, but there'll be that. Plus, you got NBA Finals going on, so you maybe want to get some gear to, or not finals, but the finals from the conferences. So you might want to support your favorite team that way, and even college teams. And then next week also we're going to talk about John Oliver, the comedian from HBO Max, and his show. What is it? Next week. Last week today or something like that. Anyway, we'll talk about something that he's doing that has to do with minor league baseball. So till next time, it was fun kind of zipping through everything with you today and celebrating an Angel sweep. They actually, the question is, can they hold on to that and continue to do it? And can the Dodgers undo what's been happening with them? So until next week, go see some live baseball, and don't forget to swing away.